Cash One Pawn has the most extensive inventory of any pawn shop in western Montana. Whether you're in the market for firearms, power tools, bows, video game consoles, or sunglasses, Cash One Pawn is the best deals around. And now Cash One Pawn gives you the ability to shop online from anywhere. Make CashOnePawn.com part of your shopping habits. Also make sure to download the Cash One Pawn app. Cash One Pawn, Missoula's premier pawn shop, located on Roller Coaster Road on the way to the Y.
Preparation been and the first few days of meetings, that kind of thing, leading up to today's practice?
The guys looked the part. It looks like they had a good summer to me. Our numbers were good in the weight room, and I would say that I think our veteran players kind of pushed things through, and I think it looks to me like we had a good summer.
During the summer, how often do you look at that kind of stuff, like weight room numbers and stuff, how guys are doing?
Well, we only max tests twice a year, really. Sometimes we'll do it with the younger guys at the end of the season before we get going on winter, so sometimes it's 3 times a year, but we only do it twice a year, so it's a valuable number. We look at what they're doing in terms of their workouts. You know, if they're doing some 80, 85, 90 percenters and it's easy, then we know that they're getting stronger. So, I mean, we look at it every day, frankly.
How has that part changed? Just the weight room stuff, the summer stuff, compared to maybe how it used to be?
I mean, it hasn't changed dramatically, other than we can do stuff with them. You know, we have, you know, we can kind of practice a little bit, so we do that a couple days a week where the coaches weren't allowed to be involved in that. And then summer workouts are mandatory now, so that part has changed. Everybody was here anyway, so I guess it was mandatory before, but it's officially mandatory now.
I'm not going to say that you've had a lot of first days of fall camp, but this is not your first.
I'm definitely in the second half of my
but what gets you excited still, first day of fall camp when you've done a few?
Well, it's always exciting to know you're up against the clock in terms of getting the team ready for the first game. You know, I talked about how we've had good work in the summer, but the real football work begins today or the other day when we got out together. And I'm always pretty fired up to make sure we're ready for that first one.
What are maybe some of the characteristics that you see early on in a fall camp of a good team?
Oh, I don't know, Sean. Early on, too much stock into it. I like seeing where we're about, we're about 12, 13 practices in and it's hot out and we're in pads and see if guys are still fighting through it. That tells me if we've got a good team or not. First day is easy.
When you guys play 12 regular season games instead of 11, how does that affect the way you approach the off season, or how will it affect the way you approach fall camp here?
It really doesn't affect anything, frankly. We do what we do. Our process is our process, and we just play one more game.
Last year when you guys worked with kind of these 2 quarterback systems, right, kind of especially early on and then towards the half, what did you maybe learn kind of running that with a couple of guys under center?
Well, I mean, that wasn't the first time we've ever done anything like that. I think it's pretty common in college football right now where you better have 2. As much as everybody's running guys, you better have 2 guys. I think the old thought that you have to have 1 guy and then a backup is somewhat antiquated. So we're not really tied to any of that. And I'm sure that we'll play 2 as well.
Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
We have a good feel for what their strengths are. I think that you always try to, whatever the position, you always try to work in your system enhancing individual strengths, and they're unique. I mean, the offense is the offense, but there will be certain things that those guys do better. It's different than the others. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes here in the next couple of weeks.
Are there any strengths in specific for those 2 that kind of stand out when you think about them?
Well, they're not all very different. And specifically Logan and Kaylee, they've got good arm strength. They both run pretty well. Athletically, they move and change direction well. They're physically fit enough to probably withstand some hits and some tackles, and so the run game's a viable piece for them.
What did you see from Ayat last year in the limited time that he did get that you liked?
Well, I think it's a great thing the way the rule has been the last few years, where those guys can play in 4 games and get them some playing time, and that was why we did that. A chance to get him in games, a chance to get him to play. Again, playing chess rather than checkers. People ask why we played him in the rivalry game, because we wanted him to play in that game. And so any game experience is hard to come by, and you're better for it. So the ability to and the opportunity to get those guys in games is really a benefit for them individually, and that was for him.
We obviously like to do a lot of position group stuff in the fall. What are some position groups that you're excited to watch, especially maybe ones that have maybe more quote unquote battles than others?
Well, everybody starts the same. You have to take the field with somebody first. But like I always tell you guys, I wouldn't read anything into that. It's always interesting to watch the position group battles and see who kind of emerges. Spring ball is the same way. But we've got probably 2 weeks of that right now, where we'll be fighting it out for playing time and reps, and the depth will change every day until game week. So we'll see how it goes.
When it comes to the quarterback specifically, what will you be watching, both tangibly and intangibly?
Well, we grade every practice. Sometimes it's in fall in particular. Spring you can go live on them a little bit if you want. We don't do that very much, but some people do. It's really they're not getting tackles. They're not getting real game-like reps. A lot of guys are, especially when we scrimmage. But then every play is the same as a scrimmage for them. So every day they get graded, they get evaluated. You look at guys are getting the ball out of their hands, having an understanding of protections and checks and all those different things that go along with it, and then just the obvious things. Hit a pass. You guys open, hit him.
What do you like about the way Caden Hewitt's improved since high school?
Caden's done a good job. He keeps working. I think that's something that competitors do. I mean, whether it's Caden or other guys on this team that continue to work and improve and try to get on the field.
Cole Grossman, a returning All-American from a couple years ago. What do you expect out of him from this fall camp?
I don't know. It remains to be seen. So hopefully a good performance. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Hopefully he gets the rust off.
Trevin has talked about, obviously his journey from where he was to now being, 37. What's it been like to kind of watch his progression and, and he gets to, wear that number this year?
Well, it's going to be redundant what I say here, but, guys that keep working, keep trying to improve, guys that want to hone their craft and be an expert at it, he's a pretty good example of that. 3 springs ago, the offense threw at him every play because he couldn't make a play on the ball, and then, he was leading the nation in interceptions a year ago, halfway through the season. So, that's what happens when you keep working. He's a skilled player that cares. He cares deeply about Montana and the Grizzlies, and he cares about being good, and he works really hard. So all those things come together, and you end up being a good player.
On the offensive line, obviously you got to replace Forbes and Walker. You brought in the new offensive line coach. What do you like about those group of guys so far?
We have pretty good experience there. We have pretty good depth. It's a hard position to garner depth. We've achieved that at this point. Like college football these days, that can change in a hurry. But we've got somewhere between 8 and 10 guys we feel can compete at a high level. All of them will play this season. I do like the way Joe is interacting with those guys from January till now. I'm guessing that'll be a strength for us.
Anybody else?
In terms of just building the offense this year, how much do you build a specific looking offense and the quarterbacks kind of need to adapt to that versus creating an offense built around the quarterback's skill sets?
Well, that's kind of, the question is, it's a little bit of hyperbole, frankly, Frank, because there you go. But you recruit guys to play your system. So the system's a system. If you don't think a guy can run it, you don't recruit him. So they can run our system.
Have you guys added any other analysts besides Scott Linehan? And with the rule change, with the rule change that the analysts can now coach during practices and games, how much can that benefit you guys? How do you plan to utilize that?
Well, we're going to have 80 guys like LSU or somebody, but it helps us to have more eyes on the film, more eyes on the players' practice, and if you've got veteran coaches, their input's welcome. That's why they're here. So, I think that's going to be good for us. And if we have anything where we're adding someone officially in some form of fashion, I'll let you know.
Just thoughts on the interior defensive line, given the loss of Alex Gubner?
Well, we'll see. I thought it was decent in the spring. I think we'll be okay. Anytime you lose All-American players, in the case of Alex last year, you got to replace him. That's college football. We do it every year, and it's a group of fellas who are going to come out and have to be productive, and we need to replace his productivity, which I hope we can do. I don't know. It's a tall order.
With the sideline tablets and 2-minute warning coming in this year, how do you implement those, practice them during camp here to make sure you're ready in time for the season?
Well, the 2-minute warning we'll do when we do our killer clock periods and that's not going to have a huge impact. It's just another timeout. It just comes at a specific time, so that's really not a big deal. The technology piece will be really good if it's utilized properly, and we do actually have some NFL background on our staff, so those guys have had experience with that, even though they're screenshots, they're Polaroids for those guys. They haven't had live film. I was kind of opposed to the technology just because I think it helps people that can't coach. Guys that don't know what they're looking at can go to the technology, so I was kind of opposed to it. That doesn't matter now.
Our family on our mom's side has a deep Montana history, especially stemming from Butte and Helena. We are so proud. One of the things we are most proud of is to call ourselves Montanans. At Up Top Clothing, they have Montana-made and Montana-branded clothing for both men and women. Their Montana Till I Die collection is one of my favorite collections anywhere in the clothing world. And you can shop online and get the Montana Till I Die collection and all the other great gear that Up Top Clothing makes delivered right to your doorstep. Visit teamuptop.com, and if you use the promo code Skyline15, you're going to get a discount on all your online ordering. Teamuptop.com, Up Top Clothing, reminding you to take a step back and enjoy the moment.